Hop into your rockets and get ready for a race across space. This is our review of Galaxy Rush.
Galaxy Rush is a two-player set collection open drafting game about flying across the galaxy. And I saw the strategies they were going for, and it's probably balanced, but I don't know, it just didn't work out for me.
It's a fast set collection game with a space theme, so that's a plus. However, I feel like they could have made it for more than 2 players. We'll tell you all about it after this quick how to play. Galaxy Rush takes place over 4 seasons, or rounds.
During each season, players take turns drafting cards from orbit rows.
The player in Orbit 1 will always go first, so if you're the first player, you should be mindful of which orbit you're choosing.
Players will collect resource, expedition, and heroic cards that will help them earn discovery cards, as well as bonus points at the end of the game.
Players can also choose to turn the card over and accelerate and go for the travel medal bonus at the end of the round.
There are also achievement and prediction bonuses that players can earn during the game.
After the 4th season, the player that has earned the most points wins. We were sent a copy of Galaxy Rush from last night's game so that we could do this review video.
To find out more information or to buy a copy of the game, check out the link in the description below.
Galaxy Rush is a quick-paced 2-player card drafting set collection game. Basically, in the first season, you're collecting resources that can help build up your resource collection to then get discovery cards. And then you also want to collect expeditions, which can get you points. And then there are some heroic cards that can just straight up give you points. So there's a lot to think about with every choice you make. Even though you're only choosing first orbit, second orbit, each decision has a really big impact on your next decision.
With space being that great unknown, I always feel like all these space-themed games always get me excited because I'm always like, ooh, how did they make the unknown more known? So that's why I was really excited to look at this. Icons, the graphic, it all looks really cool. There's not too much reading, and you don't have to read too much in depth about like, how you get points and this and that. It's all seems pretty straightforward and it's right on the card, so you don't have to consult the rule book too much once you play it like 1 or 2 times.
It's a 2-player game and you're basically making one decision. Do you want the first orbit or the second orbit? I feel like if you added another row of cards, or if you even if you only had the 2 orbits and you had 3 players and you had to choose who to go, like when you have one player here, then the next player goes there, and then the first player has to decide between those 3. I know 2-player games are popular right now and people are trying to find ways because a lot of people are playing 2-player games. I just feel like this is still a fun 2-player game and these could be the 2-player rules, but there's no reason why you couldn't have 3 or 4 players. I feel like that would have added a lot more interesting dynamics as far as the decision making. Not that that's not already here, it is here, but once one player chooses one strategy, the second player kind of has to choose the second strategy. So I feel like if you had 3 or 4 players, you might have been able to mix it up a little bit more.
Yeah, speaking of the strategies, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, I feel like first player, you kind of have the pick of the litter. I feel like when people first start playing, they'll gravitate towards a certain strategy. Me personally, it's always that engine building. So luck of the draw, which can be said about anything with luck of the draw. If it's laid out a certain way, yeah, one person's really going to dominate. Luckily, I mean, that's not how luck works. So for the most part, I think they've balanced this. I haven't played it enough to say for sure, but I think they did. I just felt when we played and I went for that strategy, I did pretty well. I mean, I still lost, but I think I did pretty well. And if someone who played it a little bit more or understood it a little bit more did the same thing, slight tweak, they would have won.
It's one of those complications in games that we've talked about before with other games where it's balanced if everyone playing knows what they're doing. If someone's going resource heavy, if you know, all right, well, now it's actually beneficial. I got to jump over them and try to block them, or I got to go after this strategy hardcore, or I got to really go on this one really heavy. There are ways to go about it to make it an even game. That's why when Lee says, oh yeah, I went heavily on this one and I felt like I did well, but I lost. He was playing me and I learned the game and all the different strategies. So I knew, okay, well, Lee's gonna do this strategy, so I'm gonna do this. But if it's 2 novice people playing for the first time and they don't know those strategies and someone goes heavy on it and they really get a really high score and the other player's like, oh, this game's no fun, they're probably not gonna play it again. Maybe they will, but they'll probably be like, oh, it's so unbalanced. Why would anyone wanna play this game? So it runs into that problem. It probably is balanced, but you have to know the game for it to be balanced.
So one thing that was kind of new, or maybe I haven't seen in a while, is this had a mechanic where there were prediction bonuses at the end of the season. So at the end of the season, you look at the goals and you just predict like, okay, is blue going to get it or is orange going to get this one? And then you just kind of place your prediction. Then at the end of the game, you just say, oh, okay, well, this one came first, so you got it first. So it's high to lower points as far as who made the right prediction.
So this is from the same publisher that did Finest Fish and Life of the Chameleon, which we really like those games. They really do well at creating simple games that have a lot of depth to them and a lot of people can pick up and play easily. Even though the strategies on this, you gotta play a few times before you can really understand them to make it a really balanced game, you can still learn this rather quickly. There's only so many things that you have to do, but each decision you make carries a lot of weight. And the cards are designed really simply. So this is a heroic card. And basically what you need to know about this card is at the end of the game, it's gonna get you 6 points. You can look at the AU value, which is how far you'll go if you want to go after these other bonuses at the end of the round. But really all you need to know is, well, if I get this card, I'm going to get 6 points. If you look at this thing, you're like, oh, if I get this, then I have the iridium fuel cell. So I have one of those. So very easy to tell exactly what the card does. It's very simple, very easy to play, but difficult to master. So they do a really good job. I feel like Life of a Chameleon and Finest Fish also had those same things where they're very simple, very easy to learn, but there's a lot of depth to them.
So obviously space theme, but I would say mechanic-wise, or something that maybe I haven't seen in a while, is those prediction bonuses. So at the end of each season, we can decide like, oh, I think this color's gonna get it. So whether or not it was me, my color or your color, I would still get the points if I made the right prediction.
The thing that I really like is going to lead into the thing that I really didn't like. And what I really like are all the different possible strategies you can take with this. You can go resource heavy, you can go the bonus points heavy, you can go strict immediate points heavy, you can go prediction heavy, you can go speed heavy and get the medal for the travel distance bonus heavy. There's lots of different ways to score points. That's what I really like about this game. What I don't like is that it's a 2-player game with those options, because basically whoever chooses one strategy first, the other player kind of has to do the other thing, and you got to hope that neither one of you are going to block each other, and it's going to end up being a higher score. If you do block each other, it's just whoever gets to that extra point at the end first wins. If it was a 3 or 4-player game and you added that little bit more variety in there, I feel like that would really balance it so the first player wouldn't have such a huge, strong advantage each time. What did you not like about it?
Once again, I'd have to play it more. I trust that it's balanced because I really like a lot of the last night games. But I will say, I think it's just that first player advantage. The luck of the draw at the very end, if you're first, you get to put the first prediction. All those firsts can kind of compound that, like, someone really runs away with it. And, in a 2-player game, it's like, I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore. Overall, the space theme, the fast play, the artwork, the depth that it has, and you can pick it up pretty quick. I think all those are check marks for me. I already said the thing that I maybe didn't like as much. So overall, I'll probably give it a 7.
Overall, there's a lot that I enjoyed about this game that we went over in the whole video. We don't usually play a lot of 2-player games, but I do enjoy a good 2-player game. I just feel like this should have been a few more 3 or 4-player game. That's why the score is a little bit lower. So overall, I'm going to give the game a 6. And that was our review of Galaxy Rush.
What'd you think? Are you going to be rushing out to get this game? Let us know in the comments below.
Once again, we'd like to thank Last Night Games for sending us a copy so that we could do this review video. If you're enjoying our content, please like this video, subscribe to our channel.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Kenny, and go party like a board gamer.